Alright, as you can probably tell from the title, this is a guide on how to make custom weapon movesets in Monster Hunter World using my editor. So I'll just not waste any time, get started. You can open the editor window using F9 once you're loaded in, and this is most likely how it'll look when you first open it. You'll have your asset browser down here and the actual editor window up here. To open an FSM, you can either go into the asset browser and just drag a file over, or you can select this open button and select a file from here. I recommend using the asset browser because it'll allow you to hot reload the FSM here, which is very useful for testing. So yeah, I'm gonna be doing that here. Uh, you could also enter a path relative to native PC here and then click this button. But at that point, you might as well just use the asset browser. So yeah, um, yeah, I'll just load in this longsword FSM here to get started. And when you first load up an FSM, it's probably not gonna look like this. You'll probably have all the nodes bunched up in the middle, just in one clump. And to fix that, you can click this Apply Layout button, which will attempt at least to put the nodes into a more sensible position. Now, obviously, this is still like not horrible, but I mean, I guess you could call it horrible. It's very hard to see at first, like what is going on, but there's no way around that really. So yeah, I definitely recommend hitting this Apply Layout button. Um, some other stuff up here, these two buttons you'll probably won't have. When you accidentally scrolled away from your nodes, you can select Navigate to Content here and it'll just zoom over. In the final version, I'm currently in a debug build, so this is disabled, but you'll be able to show translated nodes. So it'll just translate every single node name. I think it's using Google Translate and as a backend or Bing Translate. I don't even know. One of the two. Um, and yeah, it might take a second to translate everything. You'll see like a progress bar as it goes on. Then here you'll have save as. So save is just going to overwrite the file you opened. Save as is going to open a new pop-up where you can select the file to save to. This I'm not going to go over right now, and then we're going to be using this as well later. So this basically allows us to just hot reload our FSM, so we don't have to swap weapons to reload it. And yeah, so what I also forgot to mention is when you first open the editor, you won't have everything docked like this. You'll probably have like a bunch of floating windows like that, and they might even be really small. In that case, you can go like to the bottom right corner, drag it to make it bigger, and you can drag them around and dock them however you want. So this is usually how I have it set up. I have the nodes conditions, and then the links here and the condition tree just docked inside of it like that. And the asset browser here, bottom middle. So I'm just going to quickly go over what each of these windows are. So obviously this here is the main editor window. By the way, if you're not interested in this, you can skip to, I don't know, there'll probably be like a timestamp on the screen right now. You can skip to there and continue from there where I actually start making something. So yeah, this is the main editor window. I'm going to quickly explain what FSM actually is. So FSM stands for finite state machine, and that's just what it is. It's a set of nodes. As you can see here, these purple and yellow things are nodes, which have connections and conditions on those connections. So, like a node can specify either an action ID or an animation ID. So these are the purple ones are motion nodes, and the yellow ones are action nodes. Um, the difference between an action node and a motion node is that action nodes actually execute like a full-on action. Like, yeah, no shit. But actions are different from animations in that they can have additional code that's running in the exe, which is not exposed to the FSM. So, like specific behavior like greatsword charging is handled by the exe. And animations or motion nodes, or ignore that, motion nodes basically they just call an animation. No additional code running, just the animation goes in, does the animation, goes out based on whatever conditions are met. Um, yeah. And FSMs always start from node 0, which is this one. You can see that over here. So when you select a node, you'll see some details about it on the left-hand side here. Based on whether it's an action node or a motion node, there'll be some different things to edit. You can edit animation ID and stuff. You can also edit it from inside the node itself. It's really up to personal preference. You can change the name of the node and whether it's an action node or a motion node. Then, as well in this window are a bunch of filters. Um, so say I'm looking like for a node, I don't know, whichever node does the EA Spirits Flash, which is action ID 102. So I'll just enter that in here and select this highlight matching nodes. So you'll see this one lit up. See, that does action ID 102, which, yeah, that's the EI Spirit slash. Um, Also, this node here lit up. That's because I also have this ID 0 here, and this is node ID 0. You can set this to -1, and that will avoid that. And now only this one's lit up. Then you have other filters here. So this one is for filtering links. So let's say I only want to show links that start from node 0, for example. I'll just select that tick box, and as you can see, I'll only see these specific links that I'm interested in. Everything else gets kind of grayed out. And finally, there's this visualize flow from node. This one's a bit useful depending on what kind of FSM you're looking at. A lot of the times they'll just be so messy that it doesn't even matter. So say like I want only nodes that start from this node, so it's 85. And once I select that, it will start from here and then continue to branch out through all these paths until it reaches a dead end or it comes back to this node. But I mean, typically you'll still have like a massive clutter, but sometimes it's useful. Then bottom left, we have the condition list. So this is basically just a reference for a list of conditions that you can use. You have generic conditions, which can be used across all weapons, and then you have weapon-specific conditions. So it'll show whichever weapon's FSM you're editing, it'll show that here. They're all in Japanese as well, obviously. So there's a show translated here, which will also show like Google Translate level translations. But hopefully it'll make it like a bit more understandable. Like you can see like aura level red or higher. Like, okay, yeah, that's the LS gauge. Yeah, you can also filter here. So say I only want nodes that have like a triangle condition. I'll just put that in here. And yeah, if you only, you can also allow it to search for translated names as well. So like if I look for avoidance here, that's dodging. You'll see these right there. All right, right side here, this is the link editor. So when you select a link, you'll see this show up here. Action nodes typically have more interesting links or conditions than motion nodes. So if you look at this one here, for example, we have this triangle plus circle condition, and yeah, I'll go over a bit more detail later about how conditions work and how you need to use them. For now, just this is where they are. And in the condition tree, this is just a list of every single condition in the current FSM. So you can look up conditions here. If there maybe the condition that you want to use already exists, you can look it up here. Also, if you want to add new conditions, you can do that here as well. Alright, so now I'm just going to quickly show you what the actual goal here is of this video, like what I'm going to make. So it's just, this is obviously like for demonstration purposes. This is like completely busted, but yeah. Well, first of all, I made it so if you have a red gauge, you can use Foresight slash from idle. So you don't like need to do an attack and then, whoops, no, I already showed that. You don't need to do an attack first before you can do Foresight. Like if I'm in yellow gauge, that doesn't work. Like I'm hitting R2 plus circle and nothing's happening. If I go into red, however, so yeah, if you're in red gauge, alright, let's get started. I went ahead and loaded an actual just clean FSM here with no modifications. So yeah, let's get started. The first thing we're gonna make is the Foresight slash from idle. So idle is typically just node 0. So in this case, node 0 is here. If you don't know where it is, you can find it using the filters here. You have ID 0 here, and it'll show you where node 0 is. My bad. So, there's already like some existing conditions or links on this node. Like here we have the Helmbreaker, Fade slash, overhead slash, blah blah blah. So we're gonna need a new link here to link to Foresight slash. So we can just right click the node and select add link, or we can right click individual links and select insert before or after. This is relevant because the order of the links do actually matter. If you have two links that check the same button or part of the same button, so for example, we have a link that checks for triangle, and we have one that checks for R plus triangle, you're always going to want to put the compound condition first, because otherwise this one would already always be picked. So order definitely does matter here. And the top ones always get evaluated first. So highest priority, lowest priority. For this, we're gonna need to pay attention because there is one check for circle. And I think there is triangle plus circle as well, so we're going to need to put it above this one as well. So we're just going to right click that, and we're going to do insert link before. So now we've got our empty link here. We can just give this any name we want. So Foresight idle or something like that, for example. Currently it's not connected to anything, so we need to find the node that is the Foresight slash. The ID of that node, or the action ID of Foresight slash is 86. I already know that. You can find a list of all weapon action IDs on the modding wiki. I'll put a link to that in the description. So we're just going to filter by action ID 86. Oops, that's the wrong one. And we see our Foresight slash is up here. So next, we're just going to grab our newly created link and connect that up to the Foresight slash node. And now, next, we need to actually give it a condition. Currently, it doesn't have a condition, so we just click Add Condition, and now we need to specify which condition we want. The condition we're going to do here is, first of all, R plus circle, because that's the usual input combo for Foresight slash, and then we're going to have a second condition to check if we are in red gauge. And we're going to need a new condition for that. I highly doubt there's a condition like that already exists. So we're just going to select add new condition, which is going to be added all the way at the bottom here. We see here it has ID 307, so we can just go over here, enter 307, and that's our new, that's our condition. So by default, it's always going to give you an operation node, and that's typically what you'll want for weapon FSMs. There's different kinds of nodes, but the only two kinds you're going to be using for weapon FSMs is operation node and variable node. Everything else you can ignore unless you're editing quest FSMs, which I'm not going over in this video. So the root node is also almost always an operation node. And if you like, you can chain different conditions together using these operation nodes. So you can have conditions bound by an and or an or. For weapon FSMs, again, this is a bit limited. You can only use these two, or none. None is also valid. For now, since we're going to have two conditions, I'm just going to select and. And then we're going to have a child condition to this one. So we're going to make now a variable node. Variable node is where you'll actually put these condition strings that you find over here. So in this case, we're going to want this R plus circle. So I'm just going to filter here, R plus circle, click that, and I'm going to paste it over here. The rest of this is basically irrelevant. You're going to want to leave all of this alone. The only two relevant ones are this owner name and the property name. Owner name is always going to be C for weapon FSMs, mind you. CFSMPL_W and then the ID of the weapon. And that's it. So right now, I mean, we can already test this. We haven't added the red gauge condition yet, but we can test this as is. So I'm just gonna go ahead and save this FSM quickly, and we're gonna reload the player FSM. And now we should already be able to do Foresight slash from idle, regardless of our gauge level currently. Next up, we're gonna add the condition, the red gauge condition. And for that, we're going to be looking into the longsword specific conditions. And we're going to enable translations here. So you'll see there's these two, are a level white or more, or a level red or higher. And we're going to want red. So again, we're going to click this to copy. And over here, we're going to add another child. Make sure you select this add child, because you want to add a child to the operation node and not the variable node. So select this one, and again we're going to pick a variable node here. Property name, we're going to fill that in with this, and that is all we need to do. So I'm going to save, reload the FSM, and now we are no longer able to do Foresight slash from idle unless we are in red gauge. So I'm going to quickly go into red gauge. And now, as you can see, we can start using Foresight slash from idle again. Like that. And yeah, that's the first task done. Next up, we're gonna be checking, we're gonna be adding the link from Foresight slash to EI Spirit slash. So we have our Foresight slash up here, and now we're gonna need to look for the EI Spirit slash. The action ID for that is 102. Again, I looked that up in advance. So yeah, it's over here. And as you can see, it looks a bit weird because it doesn't actually have any inputs. But this is because the input from the special sheath into the EI Spirit slash is handled by the exe or by the action code. But that doesn't stop us from adding new links into the EI Spirit slash ourselves. So the input I want to use from Foresight slash into EI Spirit slash is triangle. And if we look at this, I think there's already a condition for triangle, a link. So we're basically just going to be using that. We could add a new link with a different input condition, but for now, we're just going to be using triangle. So we're looking for this T001, so that would be this one right here. Again, we just grab that and drag it over to the Spirit slash, create the link here, and it's going to automatically remove the link that was there before, so we don't need to worry about that. And for this, that's all we need to do actually. So again, we can just reload FSM. And now if we quickly get like at least a little bit of gauge. that is not what I wanted to do. We're gonna Foresight, then triangle to go into an EI Spirit Slash immediately. Nice. Nice. I would say it's pretty nice. And busted. But again, not the point of this video. And yeah, that's all we need to do for the second one, so that one was even simpler. And for the third change, we want to add a link from the EI Spirit Slash into the Spirit Roundslash, the finisher that upgrades your gauge level. So again, we need to add a new link here from the EI Spirit Slash. There's one link here, which, yeah, it's the Helmbreaker. We don't really need to care about that. I'm gonna be using I'm using X or cross or whatever you want to call it, the dodge button, for this. So we don't need to worry about order because this one doesn't use that. So we're just gonna insert link after, and we're gonna need to find the Spirit Roundslash. The action ID for that is 69, which is over here. And yeah, we're just gonna, as usual, just drag that over here. And now we need to make our condition. So go ahead and select that link. We're going to select add condition here. And now we basically just want the dodge condition, because there's no actual like cross or X condition. It's just called dodge or avoidance or whatever right here. So I could go ahead and filter through these because there probably is one, but that takes too long. So we're just gonna add our own here. We have 308. So we're gonna select that here, 308. Again, we have an operation node. If you have a single condition, like just one, like in this case, we have just the X without the red gauge check, we're still going to have an operation node as our root, but it's going to be a non-operator. You can also have an AND operator that's also going to work. Now we're going to add a child variable node, and now we're going to copy this avoidance here. There's different dodge conditions, like with specific stick direction or whatever, but we're just going to pick simple dodge here. And now we have that. Once again, that is all we need to do. So let's save and reload the FSM. And now we go do that. As you can see, we can Spirit Roundslash after it. Boom, EI Spirit Slash, and Spirit Roundslash. And that's the third change. It's that simple. So as you can see, this took barely any time at all to make changes like these. So it really is quite simple, and it gets quite fast to make these changes once you get used to the flow. One thing you might notice though, currently, is that the input for the Roundslash is very late. Like I was spamming X right now. So unfortunately, we can't fix this with FSM alone. To fix this, we need to actually edit the animation. If you're not interested in that, this is where the video ends. Otherwise, you can continue watching because I'm going to quickly show how you could do that. So to make these animation changes, we could go and open the LMT in Blender and edit our stuff there, but I don't really feel like opening Blender right now. So I have another tool that you can also download, which is an animation editor. Once you install that, you're gonna find that in the main Sharp plugin loader window. And in here you'll find, it'll probably say LMT editor for you here instead of player animation viewer. This is just an old name that I had from long ago. And once you open that, go ahead and select a player in here. It's going to show you like a bunch of entities, but you're going to want to select a player. And now it's going to open a second window over here. This one shows you a bunch of stuff like which animation the player is currently doing, which action he's currently doing, which LMT the animation you're doing is from. So to try this out, we can just start doing some attacks here. And we're interested in the EI Spirit Slash, right? So we're gonna go into here. So you see it's 12309, right? If I put this here, 12309, I can force the animation. It looks a bit weird right now because it's not linked properly to anything, but yeah, that's how it goes. So we see LMT12 is W0300. So we're gonna look for that LMT over here. We're gonna open the LMT editor, and from this dropdown we're gonna select W0300. Now you're gonna see a big list of all animations in here. I should mention this is only metadata editor for LMTs, like TIML editing basically. Not the actual, you can't edit the actual bone transforms in this. So if you want to do that, you're gonna have to use Blender, and there are other tutorials to do that. But now we're just gonna find 309 here. There it is. And we see a bunch of parameters. Currently we're only interested in the PL motion input. So once we open that, we see a couple of keyframes. And specifically the ones we're interested in are these two. The first one here, if we check this bit field down here, is it allows X input buffering. So as soon as the animation reaches this point, if you press X, it's going to register it and execute it once it hits this keyframe, because this one allows input buffering and the actual input. So if you hit X while you're at this frame, it's gonna execute it once it hits this frame. And what we want to do is basically just move this forward a bit, right? And let's see here. I don't know when I want to do this. Maybe like around here is where I want to be able to execute it, because currently it's like frame, what is it, 150? So yeah, let's say frame 80, and the input buffering we're gonna put at 50. So we're just gonna move these and unpause this. So now if we go into that, do our thing. Okay, it wasn't a real Spirit Slash. We need to actually have one that... As you can see, it was much quicker this time. What happened earlier is that the Spirit Slash that doesn't do the second hit is a different animation. So we'd have to edit that one as well to make that work. But for now, I'm just going to leave it like this. As you can see, it flows much nicer now. And yeah. So if you want to save that LMT as well, you can come in here and just select save to file. It's going to tell you where it's going to save it to. So wo300.modify.lmt. Yeah, you can just select that. It's going to lag for a moment while it's saving, and then you'll have that file saved. And yeah, this is really all there's to it, to these moveset edits. Now we just, we have our little overpowered moveset that we can just chain and chain and chain together forever. You can download this tool from, I would say, you can definitely download it from GitHub. There's definitely going to be a link to that in the description. If I decide to upload it to Nexus, there's going to be a link to that as well, but that's not guaranteed. Yeah, it depends on how I feel about Nexus at that specific time. And yeah, so this works for both for Quest FSMs as well, but it's mainly tested with weapon FSMs so far. So yeah, I hope this has brought some light into the process of making moveset mods and made it a bit easier than it is currently with the whole JSON editing. And yeah, thanks for watching.